Most business owners launch their very first Google Ads campaign and expect leads to start pouring in that same day. But here's the thing that nobody really tells you. Even the best built campaigns don't actually work that quickly. There's a whole behind the scenes timeline that Google goes through before your results begin to stabilize. And if you don't understand that timeline, you'll think that your ads are failing when they're actually just right on track. But when you do understand what's supposed to happen in those first 7 days, the first 30 days, the first 90 days, you'll avoid wasting money, avoid making unnecessary edits to your campaigns, and actually reach the point where your ads start performing consistently and profitably. So in this video, we'll break down exactly what happens in your Google Ads account in those first 7 days, 30 days, and 90 days, so you know exactly what to expect when results realistically start showing up. And we'll go through what you should or should not be doing during each one of these phases. So think of a brand new Google Ads campaign like a new employee starting on their very first day. You don't judge them based on hour one, right? They're figuring things out, testing what works, learning what doesn't, making a few awkward mistakes, and gathering information. But by the first month, they're finally getting the hang of things, and by 90 days, they're fully trained, confident, and performing at the level that you actually hired them to perform at. Google Ads kind of goes through that exact same ramp-up curve. It needs time, data, and consistency before it becomes the reliable, predictable little workhorse that you want it to be. Okay, so let's talk about what happens the first few days after you publish your campaign. As soon as you hit publish, you'd think that your ads start running instantly, but they don't. And this is the first place that people tend to start to panic. So right after you launch, your campaign goes into a verification stage where Google is basically checking your work. So they're making sure that your ad copy, your landing pages, your targeting, they're making sure that all of this follows their guidelines. And most of the time, this just takes a few hours, sometimes a full day, maybe even a little bit longer for sensitive industries. So during this window, you'll see things like under review or pending, and the ads aren't actually running. Once Google approves everything, that's when your campaign officially enters the real world and starts being shown to people. So the first 24 to 48 hours, your only job is patience. Nothing here needs fixing unless once that verification process is done, Google comes back with some errors, then at that point you need to go back and revamp things. During the next phase, you'll probably see your campaign show bid strategy learning, and this could last up to 2 weeks. So during this phase, Google is testing everything. It's trying different audiences, different times of day, different search queries. It's running through your different headlines and descriptions. It is trying to piece together what works and what doesn't. It is figuring out exactly who engages with your ads and who scrolls right past them. So this is another part that really stresses people out because the data looks honestly very chaotic. So your metrics are going to swing around a lot. One day your cost per click is high, the next day it drops. One day you get a bunch of impressions, the next day barely any. And you might start to see clicks come through and conversions trickle in, but it just feels unstable. It is all over the place. So this is exactly what the system is supposed to do. And here's the important part. This is not the time where you want to be making any big major changes to your campaigns. Like you don't want to switch up your bidding strategy. Don't start rearranging ad groups, changing budgets, implementing target CPCs or CPAs. Any big changes like this can reset the entire learning process and push you right back to day one. The only thing you should really touch right now is adding in negative keywords. So make sure you're checking your search term reports and adding in any irrelevant or competitor traffic as negative keywords. But outside of those small corrections, the best thing you can do during this learning phase is let it learn. So by the time you hit that 30-day mark, your campaign has finally moved past the messy learning stage, but it's still way too early to expect top performance. So month one is really about building your baseline of data. You're starting to see patterns with which keywords get the most clicks, which ones might have a really high cost per click, which ones are converting really well, what types of searches are triggering your ad, how people are behaving once they land on your site. This is also where search term exclusions matter more than anything. So Google doesn't magically know who your ideal customer is yet. It needs you to guide it by removing those irrelevant search terms that are wasting your budget. Tighten up your negatives during this period, and this will help speed up Google's ability to find you the right people. If conversions are trickling in slowly, that's normal. If the cost per lead feels a little bit high, that's also normal. Month 1 is more about gathering data and information. The biggest mistake that people make here is assuming that the data is final and starting to overreact. It's not. You're still collecting the information you need to make smarter decisions in month 2. So in these first 30 days, your main job is pretty simple. Clean up the traffic, verify your conversion tracking is working, and let the data roll in. Month 2 is where things finally start to make sense. You have enough data now to actually make decisions instead of guesses, and this is where your campaign begins to feel a little bit more stable. You can start looking at keywords and asking real questions like which ones are driving more conversions? Are there keywords that you should add in that you're currently missing? Which keywords are costing a lot but not really converting? If a keyword has spent a good chunk of money and hasn't generated a single conversion, this is usually where you tighten bids, match types, or pause the keyword entirely. On the flip side, if you see a keyword that's bringing in a lot of leads, you can bump your bid up on those certain keywords to capture more of the traffic. This is also a time where you can start to refine your ad copy. So by now you'll notice which headlines tend to get the best click-through rate and which ones people skip right over. So you can build new variations of ads based on top performers and start running cleaner tests. And of course, the search term report is still your best friend. So keep adding those negatives as new irrelevant terms start to come in, and note any new high intent phrases that you may want to target. You should start noticing improvements around the end of month 2 into month 3. So the cost per lead comes down, your wasted ad spend on clicks diminishes, the performance just becomes more consistent. So month 2 is where the campaign just kind of starts to turn that corner. And you're not trying to scale yet. You're getting your campaign lean, efficient, and focused in on your ideal clients. And then month 3 is where your campaign finally starts to feel like it's working the way you hoped it would. So by this point, Google has enough conversion data to really understand who your ideal customer is and who isn't. And that's when you'll see your cost per lead come down even more, your lead quality improve, and your daily performance becomes a lot more predictable. This is also when you can confidently start testing more advanced bidding strategies. So if you have been running a manual bidding strategy or a max clicks, month 3 is usually the right time to switch into something like max conversions or implementing a target CPA or CPC, although it does depend on the amount of data that has come in. These strategies rely heavily on historical conversion data, so making the switch too early can actually hurt your performance. But by month 3, you should finally have enough data to make those tools work for you instead of against you. You can also start to look at your budget allocation. So if certain campaigns or ad groups are clearly driving the bulk of your results, you can reroute more of your budget toward them. And if something consistently is underperforming, even towards the end of month 3 of testing, this is when it's safe to start phasing it out or restructuring it. With 3 months of data, you know exactly what's resonating. You can take your strongest headlines and angles and build new variations to test. You can start looking at your landing page with a more critical eye. By now, you have enough information to make improvements that should start to move the needle on your Google Ads. So month 3 is really just about taking everything you've learned in months 1 and 2 and using that data to scale your best performers. This is the point that most advertisers never get to, honestly, because they give up too early and say that Google Ads just don't work for them. But if you stick with it for the full 90 days, this is where the payoff starts to be seen. More consistent leads, better quality prospects, and a campaign that you can finally trust to bring in results week after week. So if you stick with your campaign for the full 90 days, really let it learn, tighten up your search terms, make smart tweaks in month 2, and then scale it in month 3, you'll almost always see your cost per lead improve and your lead quality get better. And that's really the part that nobody tells you up front. You really have to be ready to spend 3 months tweaking the Google Ads before seeing profit. And now that you know the full timeline of what actually happens after you hit publish, the next step is knowing how to set everything up the right way right from the beginning. So if you want to walk through that process step by step, from choosing your keywords to structuring your ad groups to setting your bids the right way, click right here and watch my full tutorial on exactly how to set up a search campaign from scratch. And I'll see you over there.